Hello, everybody, and welcome to Community Forum. My name is Ron Vecchia, and joining me today is Tony Marino. Tony is the new town manager here in Winthrop. He's been on the job, I believe, 4 months. Tony, welcome to WCAT.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
So
happy to be here.
You got your feet wet? And,
yes.
Off and running?
Yep.
So what do you think?
Like I said, I was attracted to Winthrop. I love Winthrop. I was happy to be here. I hit the ground running. I'm really enjoying the job, and the people have been great. Everyone's been welcoming, so yeah, no complaints.
I've been looking in the newspaper, and you've been attending all types of events.
Yep.
You've been very visible to the town. I think that's very important.
Yep. Community involvement's a real big part of what being a successful town manager, in my opinion. You need to be involved, and people need to be able to see you out there and see that you're engaged. So
exactly.
Yep.
So for the folks that don't know your background, why don't you just kind of give us a little background of your experiences and your qualifications coming into Winthrop?
Yeah, I didn't take the traditional path. I came into municipal government this odd way. I was a local contractor down on the South Shore, as you know, and I got into this. I became the building commissioner in Hanover, Mass. Back in 2008. Sort of right place, right time. Hanover was switching their form of government from town administrator to town manager, and I ended up being the assistant town manager after a few years. That worked out really well. I liked the job. I sort of took to it, and I was really, I seemed to excel at it. Back down there, I was doing a lot of economic development as the assistant town manager, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Lo and behold, I ended up meeting someone from up on the North Shore. Tried to get her to move south, but that wasn't working. So an Italian girl from the North Shore was not leaving. So I crossed the Tobin Bridge and moved up here, and the commute from Linfield to Hanover was getting a little rough. So I ended up getting a job in Ipswich, and I've been there for the last 4 years. And then I was then the town manager for there, through the COVID and the pandemic. And then when the opportunity came up in Winthrop, I was interested in Winthrop before, so I saw the opportunity and I applied, and I'm happy I did.
Good. A lot of similarities from town to town with the issues in the day-to-day operation.
Yeah, a lot of different similarities with coastal. A few more, little different issues here where it's a smaller community. Only the 1.6 square miles compared to 33 square miles in Ipswich.
Right.
But as far as the coastal concerns, the flooding, all of those concerns are very identical, and even right down to the shoreline and the harbor master and things like that. It's a lot of similarities.
I would think we have semi-unique, where we have some neighbors that impact us in a negative way, and we have to have a relationship with, and I speak of Massport and of course MWRA.
Yep.
So those are new things that you have to deal with. I would assume it's new to you.
Yes, actually, the Massport connection for sure. I haven't had a lot of dealings with Massport other than, we did a lot with Mass DOT over the time, but Massport's new. MWRA, we had a little dealings with because we were trying to get them to Ipswich, and obviously I'm an MWRA customer in Linfield, so I have a little bit on that side. We had a little dealings with them because there's a lot of droughts, north of here, and a lot of wells and reservoirs and things like that, so they were trying to get MWRA up there. So it was funny, I went to the tour of Deer Island that they did recently, and one of the things there was, they were showing all the, future expansion areas, and I took a picture to show my old employees. I said, oh, look, there's Ipswich. There you go. Maybe they're going to get up there eventually, but it was a really cool facility. I know they do a lot of stuff, and I know they're good partners with the town, so I look to continue that and foster it, which is why I attended the tour. And
Freddie Lasky does a great job, and he really communicates good with the community.
Absolutely,
Good guy. Yeah. So how do you walk into this job? What's the first thing you do? Do you kind of like analyze, where you want to go first? Or what are the priorities? How do you grasp at a job like this?
You come in and you have to do an assessment. You're sort of sitting back, checking out your department head, seeing how everything's going. For me, right away, I came in, and first thing in the door was I had just finished up settling 7 union contracts in Ipswich, and I got here and there was 5 to do. So, so that's sort of been dominating my time now. We're done with 3 of them, so we got 2 more to finish up. So we're getting there on that. And then obviously the project work that came up during the interview. The old middle school site, public safety building, working with Kessel and Boost to finish up, take the feasibility study and try to come up with a plan for a building and, hopefully something for the voters to vote on eventually and things like that. But that's been dominating most of my first 4 months. So
where does that, let's just key on that for a second.
Yeah.
The middle school, that was vacant. When I took over as town council president, and the town council president before me, it was vacant. The new high school was getting old already, the new middle high school. That's how long it's been vacant. So where exactly does it stand at this point?
Right now, the board's the town council's meeting tonight, an executive session to discuss that. Next steps, negotiations. Obviously, an RFP. If you want to dispose of property, you need to put an RFP out there. So,
Right.
what does that RFP want to contain? What does the council want to see? I mean, everything from is it going to be residential units? Is there going to be try to get a boutique hotel in there? Is there some sort of industry we want to attract? So those are the answers that need to be, the questions I have that need to be answered before we can put the RFP together. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of the council tonight. There is some parkland, Chapter 97 land.
Yep.
So depending upon how far you want to go or what lots you want to use, you'd have to apply to the legislature to take that out. I mean, there's a lot of parkland there. I don't think that'd be an issue. Normally, if the town's in support of it,
Right.
the legislature will let you do that. So those are the kind of issues I'm working on.
I mean, that seemed to be a controversial part of it over the last couple of years. Where is the parkland? Where isn't it? I mean, wouldn't that show clearly where the parkland ends?
From what I've seen, the parkland is pretty well delineated. The problem is the lot lines don't really work out for what we want to do for development, right? So you
Yeah.
have to need to go and apply for, usually an A&R plan with the planning board
Right.
and redo the lot lines. Well, when you redo that, you're going to incorporate some of the parkland.
Okay.
So that's where that issue comes in. So depending upon how big of a parcel we put together
Yep.
for development, if you grab some of the parkland, then you'll need to apply for that portion to be
Okay.
taken out. So that's
So
what
that
we're
answers a
working on.
lot of questions that people have been asking. Why? That's been one of the hang-ups through the
Right.
last couple of years.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, that
Okay.
lot, the upper lot there, further up the slope, the hill there, that where the main building is, that's out of the parkland. It's where
Right.
the gymnasium, the auditorium,
Which
and then
was
obviously the
built
rink.
after the fact.
Correct. Yeah.
Actually, one of them is, the rink is built on where the ball field was originally.
Right.
So that was brought up at countless meetings.
Without a doubt.
So
Yep.
it'd be great if we could get that behind us, because I think that there's a tremendous amount of potential. I personally, because listening through the years of the residents' concerns about too much development in the town
Yep.
relative to families.
Yep.
Because then you'll have to, as it is, the school is up to max already.
Oh, yeah.
The middle high school.
Yep.
So you want to try to do something that's kind of in the middle of the road, where small units, maybe small condos, where it'll be professional people just starting out, or people that retire that go in and buy
Yep.
it, and then maybe incorporate something else with it. Obviously, the rink has got to be a rink someplace. in
Without
this
a
town,
doubt.
Without a
Yep.
doubt. And one of the things that keeps coming up that through the years is the fact that we no longer have a playhouse in the town.
Right.
And when you look at these venues in Boston, the Cabot Theater in Beverly.
Yep.
There's a place in Medford that has a theater.
Right.
These are smaller venues that attract these like jazz groups and
Right.
and a lot of these performers like to go in small venues.
Yeah.
So the thought of having the theater still here, if they could incorporate that with a condo
Right.
development and maybe some retail or stores or whatever. If you think about the possibility of the attraction, the people will come in before the performance.
Yep.
They'll get on the center. So these people coming in, they'll spend money in Winthrop. Right?
Yeah.
They'll spend money in the theater. Whoever runs the theater obviously will have a bar in there and whatever.
Yeah.
I see money can be achieved.
Yep.
Yet when the theater is done, when the show is over, everybody leaves.
Right.
And they don't have to live in Winthrop.
Yep.
So to me, there's potential. So I hope that whatever happens, I hope that's an integral part of it, because
We want people to stay and spend money for sure. Whether it's a boutique hotel or a hotel that feeds off of potentially hockey tournaments or a
Yep.
theater or things
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
We want to get people to Winthrop, spend the money. Even if, say it's an industry, say it's a company that wants to come in and work. Now you've got workers in town feeding local
Exactly.
businesses. All of those
Exactly.
options are on the table. Because that's what we need.
the ferry service, another thing that's near and dear to me.
Yes.
So what exactly is going on with the ferry at this point?
Ferry is up and running, has been most of the summer. It started up shortly after I started here. It's been doing well all summer. It's at least doubled the revenue it did last year. It's been real busy. They've been doing a great job. It's running Monday through Friday right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to get more captains so we can run it on the weekend. Especially, we want to do it this fall as a trial and then be ready to go next May. We'd like to run it 7 days next May because the Sumner Tunnel is going to shut down
Right.
in May of 2023 and be shut down through the summer, not just on the weekends, full time,
right.
all the way through September. So if we can have the ferry up and running, We're trying to get some additional services, whether it's through MBTA or Massport.
Whatever happened to the thing? I thought our senator was talking about, the possibility of, dovetailing with the MBTA and on the fact that they have a ferry in East Boston now.
Yep, we're still working on that.
Still
That's
working on it?
not done. There was money allotted in the budget for that, so we're
Okay.
working on that. But farming that out and getting, we got to get MBTA to the table, and because people want to use it, but what's even better than if you already got a Charlie card? You can just use it over there and not have to use our system. So, more to follow on that. But I see a huge value in the ferry, and I think it's
I totally agree.
Yeah.
One of the problems has been, the only reason we've had it running is because we've been, it's been underwritten by the state.
Yeah.
Because we've been helping up Quincy and so forth.
well, we get money from Quincy, and then we
Yeah.
get money from Massport. Yeah,
Right, and so the problem with that is because we have to go there, then there's no continuity of service where it's just running from here to Boston.
Right.
So people can't count on it. If you talk to anybody in transportation, if you talk to Joe Aiello, he'll tell you. He says there's one thing about transportation. It's got to be redundant. It's got to be, there'll be buses that are empty.
Yep.
There'll be buses that are overfull. But the fact that it's there 24/7,
Yeah.
people will start using it. And that's what we were lacking with the ferry service. Because
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what we're looking for, consistency. And getting the MBTA involved. I mean, they run a successful line down in Hingham. Being a
Yep.
South Shore guy, I can tell you that line's running for years. And it's a low cost of entry for them, and an easy service for the run compared to the issues they have with the rail lines and the buses and everything else. Like this could be a home run for them. So I think they'll see the value.
I know there was talk about eliminating the bus run down the point. Is that off the table?
I believe that's off the table. It's still not 100% yet, but I believe from what I've been hearing, that's off the table. So yeah.
And you announced an MBTA Youth Pass program.
Yes.
What was that all about?
I got here and it was on my to-do list. There were a few parents that had reached out, the Youth Pass program that the MBTA offers. And actually, Joe Aiello, town council member, actually put me in touch with somebody over at the MBTA. So we had to set it up. So we had to have an department in town, pick it up, apply for it, and then be responsible for it. So once it's up and running, it sort of runs itself. But we had to do a few things on the town side, get it adopted, which we did. Actually, Barbara Pucci over in the health department helped us out with that and got that up and running. And now it's up and running, and youth that want to use it to get to work, get to the city for all sorts of reasons. They have the ability now. The 18 to 25-year-olds, they can get those discounted passes.
Good.
Yeah, we already had a program with the high school kids, middle school and high school kids that the school superintendent had set up, or somebody over the schools had set up. But we didn't have this. This group was missing. This 18 to 25-year-olds. So.
Cool. Well, I know we have an event that's on the docket for October 2nd, the Oktoberfest. You've been involved with the discussion down at Michael's Mall.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
The Chamber of Commerce, Betsy Shane had reached out. They wanted to do an event. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to get one for October, but luckily they were. They want to do that event. It's going to be the new Dropstone Brewery. We'll be down there. They're going to take over the parking lot, be able to serve alcohol, get everybody together, do some events. So we're looking forward to that. I believe it's going to be on October 2nd.
Yep. It's a Sunday.
Yeah. So I think they went through licensing, right? Got their permissions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They're just waiting. As long as all the other departments approve it, it should
Yep.
be. It should,
Yeah,
it
the
should be
chief's
good to
working
go.
on it. Inspectional services got it on their agenda, so everybody's moving forward to get that done.
Good. Which brings me to the French Square.
Yes.
All done. Looks wonderful.
Yep.
The center looks great.
It does.
In fact, if you look around town with all of the improvements on the sidewalks and the streets, and there's more to come. I saw the the schedule coming through for grinding. And,
Yeah.
I mean, the town
Doing a lot
really
this week.
looks very, very positive.
Yep.
As far as the streets and the roads go. Are there any plans? Are we putting together any type of a plan with the chamber to do some events down French Square?
Absolutely. I spoke with Betsy Shane last week, and we're going to try to meet next week to talk about, some sort of light. Obviously, they do the tree lighting down there, so now the question is, where does Christmas tree go? So we're going to go down there and figure out the with the new French Square, there's going to be logistics involved with that.
Yep.
Where do you put it? How do you tether it?
Yeah.
Is it real? Is it fake? Where's it going to go? So we're going to meet next week to start talking about that, and then hopefully we do a tree lighting with some sort of maybe a holiday stroll where we can block off that area. Maybe have a blow-up screen for kids' movies and hot cocoa going, so we can get something going with the local businesses and do something around Thanksgiving or early December.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any farmers market? We had one years ago, and because of the construction, it kind of went by the wayside. I think one month they did it at the where the rink is in that parking lot, but because they needed that for staging for the center, it kind of, I don't think we had one for the last
It's not on
2
my
years.
radar yet, but to know that it was out there, that would be something we'll look into. I mean,
Yeah.
now the parking lot, obviously with the rain closing down for the summertime, that would be an ideal spot.
Yeah, but it was very well
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
attended.
Yeah.
Very well attended.
Yep, we'll look to get that. Do you know who ran that? Or?
It was a separate, there was a separate group. I don't believe it was formed by the town. It was
Okay.
separate. But I think the group that's talking about it now, I think Peter Christopher, a former counselor,
Okay.
is on that committee.
All right.
So
We'll
somebody
make sure
may
we
wanna
reach out
call
then.
him.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. We talked about the middle school. We talked about, let's talk about Revere Street project. I was on the council when we earmarked that first money, and then it was supposed to come up maybe 2 years down the road, and then some other communities said, we don't want it, so we kind of rose to the top of the list.
Yeah, welcome to the world of tip programs. Yeah, so that's we had a meeting about that today. Actually, there's a lot of easements, both temporary and permanent easements, that we have to get. I think there's about 60. So we're working on that with council. We've got to get all those in place. We had
Now,
a good
what are the
meeting.
easements for?
Just some of the road widening and things like that, where we're, sidewalks and road widenings where we need a little bit more space.
Okay.
So we need to deal
Because
with
they all
some-
have to conform with ADA and so forth?
Correct, and
Okay.
yeah, Mass DOT standards. And so it's multi-tiered, right? Because National Grid's doing their project. So now we got National Grid's project coming down. While we're doing it, thankfully Steve Caller, our DPW director, said, well, all right, let's make sure we reline the water main while we're there.
Yep.
So now the town's doing that piece of it, and then the ultimate work with Mass DOT for the TIP project. So it's sort of 3 levels going on at the same time. So
Yep.
there'll be another year or 2 while we're down there working, but we're trying to keep communication open, keep the schedule up on the website, so we're going to try to keep everybody informed of what's going on.
The initial closure of Revere Street, that was a disaster with the cars going through the center,
Yeah.
I mean, the Highlands and so forth. But
Yeah.
when the project is over, it'll be all brand new
Yep.
sidewalk to sidewalk?
Yeah, stormwater, water main, everything, yeah, sidewalk to sidewalk, that's the plan.
Tree plantings and so forth,
Yep.
part of it?
Oh, yeah, we got
That's
all,
good.
yeah,
And that goes all the way down to McGee's Corner?
correct.
Okay,
Yep,
good, good.
it'll be nice when it's done,
Oh, yeah.
but people are going to have to be
A
patient.
little
in the mean-
aggravated.
They'll have to be patient in the meantime, yeah.
The clock tower, I drove by the other day and I said, whoa, as much as through the years we kept saying, let's get that fixed, but no, we couldn't seem to find the money. Where'd you find the money?
It was in line, you know what, I have to check, I don't know, it was all set up when I got here. Police Chief Terry Delahanty had that all set up, along with Jim Lettieri, so that was all ready to roll.
Oh, that's
I just
good.
had to make sure that, they get out there. They took a little while to start, longer than we wanted, but
is the clock gone? Are they actually
I think they
fixing
took
the
it out
clock?
and they sent it off to be refurbished, and then it
Yep.
comes back. Yeah,
Nice.
there's a company that does that.
Nice.
So now, in the meantime, they're doing the painting and the trim work
Yep.
and fixing any leaks we have around that area, so, yeah.
There are many.
Oh, yeah, we're working on it, so.
That's an old building.
Yep.
It sure is. Bikes in Winthrop. We had a bike program a couple of years ago. I think it was the Lime bikes.
Yeah,
And it was well, I guess it was a double-edged sword. There were those that are bikers that
Yeah.
absolutely loved it, and those that said, why do we have these ugly bikes? And they ended up in gutters, they ended up in whatever.
side of the road, yeah,
But it didn't cost the town anything at the time to try it.
right.
So I guess there was discussion of having a different company come in where they put like charging stands.
Yeah.
And they were looking at that. Is that something that's going to happen?
People are looking at it. It hasn't got to my desk yet. I'd certainly be interested. I did a similar program in Ipswich, but again, you don't want to be the trailblazer, right? So we got this company that came in, and you can do it online on an app, and
Yep.
and then all summer long, my DPW crew was going around picking up the bikes all over town and bringing them back to where they were supposed to go. Because people would just. It was an app. They didn't care. They were done using it.
So it
and
wasn't
they just
on a
left
charging. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't charging. Just regular bike rentals.
That was just like the ones we had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they were all over town. So I didn't have a good experience with that, but the new ones that charge, I think that's probably the way they go. And I forget what the name of it is, the one that Boston uses, but that seems to be a good program.
Yeah.
Maybe
Blue Bikes
Blue
or
Bikes, yeah,
something?
that was
I
what was
think
in
it
my
is.
head, Blue
Yeah.
Bikes. But that seems to be a successful program, so we might look into that down the road.
Cool. Cool. COVID update. We're just about through.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's here to stay, right? People are going to still get COVID. Luckily, now we've got vaccinations and treatments, and deaths and hospitalizations are way down, but cases are still there, and they will be for years to come. It's just going to be like the flu now. It's just going to be around.
I noticed Big Brother's still watching though, because I had COVID about 2 months ago, and I went to Revere and I had
Yeah.
the test done. So I'm sitting in my house coughing up a storm after I'd been at the doctor's, or actually I had to do the the telephone thing,
Yeah.
the TV thing, because he didn't want me to come in the
Right?
office.
Yeah, yeah,
So all of a sudden my phone rings and it was someone from the Winthrop Board of Health.
yeah.
So they knew,
Yep.
You know, it's good that it's being tracked.
We're still doing the tracking program,
And they
yeah.
just wanted to get information relative
Yeah.
to how bad it was and so forth.
I think
So,
that'll stop eventually. I think we'll probably have to get through this winter.
yeah. I think it's going to be, it's just going to be like getting a flu shot
It
every
is,
year.
yeah.
You know?
You're going to get your COVID shot, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the public safety building, and that's something that's been going around in circles about location and where is the study and why wasn't this place looked at? Where does it all stand right now?
Again, the council's meeting tonight in executive session to talk about that as well, to talk about locations and things like that. Kessel Booth had looked at, potentially doing a combined building here where the existing police station is.
Right.
And then potentially doing some sort of a friendly eminent domain or friendly taking with a couple of the commercial properties. The problem is when you go down the hill, down Pauline Street towards the existing fire station, you have to grab some of the properties in the behind, right?
Right.
So that's, maybe that's going to be problematic with more property taking. So they're looking at a few other scenarios on that corner, whether it's up the hill or down. So those will all be laid out. I think they probably ruled out a few, But again, they're going to go back and look at that list because when you were council president, that list back they created back in 2020, 2021.
Right.
So we'll see. All sorts of sites were looked at, right? But nobody liked the two that were presented, so now we got to
Yep.
go back.
Yep. I don't know why they put so much emphasis on the Little League field and the,
No idea, but the whole PowerPoint presentation was geared over that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
I-
I don't know. There's other sites. So we'll see. But
and we knew there was public knowledge of a private property that was a gentleman is willing to
Yep.
probably retire
Yeah.
in that general vicinity,
Right.
which is a huge lot.
Right. I think there were flood concerns with that site because they scored it, right? So they scored all the sites, and the site you're talking about was one of them. And so the flood concerns. But again, not a deal breaker. You just got to raise the building up,
Right,
and there's some
right.
increased construction costs.
Right,
So I think that's all going to be looked at because some of the council members had said, newer council members had said, let's look at some of the old sites and, what kind of analysis was done. So that's going to get kicked around. I think we're going to get some good traction on that and hopefully have something for the public soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of your priorities moving forward? Other than the day-to-day things, are there any things after being here for 4 months that you would say, geez, I'd like to tackle X, Y, or Z? Is there anything like that?
The big thing is just making sure we can create efficiencies where we can in the town government. Budgets are tight. There's not a lot of money to go around. Obviously try to avoid any sort of override talk and things like that. So,
Right.
Things we can do to get out of that and make sure we prepare for long-term sustainability, but also not have a high turnover of employees at the same time. The council looked ahead and did that salary survey, so we'll be able to see where we stand and compare ourselves to other communities and things like that. So I think that'll help. But that's really my goal right now is just kind of look to set us up for the long haul. Whatever that looks like. But we're still breaking down the budget. I'm going to try to bring my GFOA form, a budget that I've used in the past, to Winthrop. It's a different budget document. It kind of gives more of a department breakdown and lays it out in a format that I think is a little easier to read,
Right.
And a little more easier for the residents to digest. So I'm looking to bring that forward this year.
I know that one of the biggest complaints we get of people complain about is that anytime we build a new facility in town,
Yep.
that 5-10 years down the road, why didn't you take care of it? Why didn't you take care of it? I know when they opened the new schools up, especially the new middle high school,
Right.
They implemented a program, a computerized program there for everything. Whether some type of a vent has to have a new filter on it.
Yep.
It tells them when to do it.
Yeah.
And I saw talk that the town council had a presentation by a management company.
Same
for-
company
Same company.
that the schools use.
So that's good.
Yeah, I brought
It's
them
good
in.
to
I've
hear.
used them in both Hanover and Ipswich. It used to be Dude Solutions, and now they switched their name to Brightly. It's the same program that the schools use. It's a maintenance software. They'll come in and for a price, they'll do a facilities needs assessment on all our buildings.
Right.
So they'll come in and they'll lay it out for the next 25, 30 years. Here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then part of that is also preventative maintenance plan. They tag all of our equipment. And now the maintenance department in town, which we'll have to put some resources behind, can utilize that software and actually create, all right, we know this month we got to replace X number of filters.
Right.
And then we can start getting on and use that to build our capital plan, to get a good
Yep.
5-year capital plan
Yep.
that we're actually going to stick to for the most part.
Yep.
They'll put a bunch of stuff in there. We won't be able to do everything because we won't be able to
Exactly.
afford it.
Yep.
But we'll be able to prioritize and do the things we need to do and keep our buildings up.
That's good. I know just before I got off the council, Bob DeLeo was retiring moving on to his new position, and he was able to, bring some money into the town for us to get tons of new equipment over at DPW.
Yep.
And thank God, because some of the equipment that we had, I'm lucky that, we were lucky that they even did what they were able to do during
Oh,
the
yeah.
storm.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to tell you, the DPW director does a hell of a job
He
with
does.
the equipment he has.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing we thought of. We're getting all this new equipment. You know, I hope that we're able to take this equipment and categorize it where someone's going to make sure that
Yep.
everything happens to it that needs to happen to it to keep it running.
Yeah,
So-
they keep a mechanic on staff over there for just that, and I know they're good about doing their preventive maintenance and things like that, so.
There was a couple of openings when you took over.
There was a bunch, and I still
They
got
had a
one left,
shortage?
yeah.
What's still
CFO,
open?
you know, yeah, finance director, CFO position.
Yep.
You know, we're still looking to fill that. Probably going to reach out to a firm, maybe Community Paradigm, the firm you guys used to hire me, because it's a lot of competition for very few finance directors out there. So it's a very attractive job here, but we want to get the word out, you know,
Yep.
let people know. So we might look to use them. But we were able to fill the 2 openings in the treasurer's office, treasurer collector's office. We have a new treasurer collector.
Yep.
Brendan Carit from, we got him from Nahant. He came over here. He's a young guy, but he's doing a great job.
Good.
And then we went private sector for Imani Combs. We brought her in. She had banking experience, so she's the new assistant treasurer.
Great.
We were able to use the consultant, Patrick Herring, for the assessor's office for now. We've got him signed on, so we'll get our, you know, reval done. Make sure all the building permits are in, so we can get a good chunk of our new growth this year and all that. So that's up and running. And then once we get the CFO filled, and then one of the new ones that jumped on me when I got here was VSO, but we were lucky to you know, to get Phil Ronan in that position, so it worked out.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good
So
guy.
Phil's doing a great job. And then for those who don't know, we've actually moved the Veterans Office. It's no longer in Town Hall. It's over in the basement of the E.B. Newton building.
Oh, really?
Because that fell, but my predecessor had put that department and the Council on Aging underneath, you know, the Health Department under Meredith, which makes a lot of sense, a lot of
Yep.
shared resources,
Yep.
things like that. So as soon as you come in off the accessible entrance there on the right-hand side of the building,
Yep.
there's that office right outside the elevator.
Oh,
And,
that's great.
Phil's in there now.
That's great.
Yeah, we're going to do a coffee hour over there, I think, on October 1st for the veterans. So if anybody's interested, I think 9 to 11 on a Saturday morning. Just
Excellent.
invite everybody in for coffee and donuts and see the new space.
Excellent. Well, I think we covered all of my notes.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is keep an eye out. I don't know if you're familiar, the ICMA, the International City Managers Association. So there's the local group, the Mass Municipal Managers,
Yep.
and then the ICMA is the national branch.
Yep.
They had picked Winthrop to be part of a promotional video.
Really?
So we shot a video, you know, a little bit of a cost, but not too much. They came in and they spent a whole day here shooting. So they just finished it up. We're going to be able to launch it on the website soon, but it's a nice 6-minute video about Winthrop, and they interview the council president, myself, the chief of police, school superintendent.
Oh, awesome.
And then we got 3 local business owners in there. Micah Ruzzione's in there. You know, so it's a great video.
Good.
Talks about, kind of focused on economic development and why we're rolling out the red carpet and we're open for business. And
Good.
so we're going to get that going and out there, and hopefully, you know, try to, you know, get some new industry into town. So
Good. Tony, we're running up against the clock,
I like it.
but I
Time
appreciate
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you, sir.
We'll do this again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just
On a regular basis. Yeah.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
All right.
All
We've
right.
been speaking with Tony Marino, our new town council. I was going to say
No,
town council president.
I am
You
not
know-
elected.
No, the new town manager.
Yeah.
But Tony, you're doing a great job from what I hear. It's
Yep.
nice to see you out there.
Absolutely.
With the rank and file.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if anybody needs anything, second floor of town hall, my door's always open. So come on by.
You've been watching Community Forum.
Yeah.
Till next time, see you then.